Welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, helping you get to your onward journey. A friendly service that helps you get from A to B, or probably nowhere at all.
Well, here we are again. It's the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. And I've lost track of what episode it is, but we really should keep count because we must be getting near to 100. Anyway, I'm your host, James, and with me is co-host and producer,
Sam. Good morning, everyone.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm full of cold, but I mean that doesn't really affect your modelling too much. I've got that annoying one where your nose tingles a little bit, and then all of a sudden your eyes start streaming. That really joyful one, which
Hay
when
fever.
yeah, it feels like hay fever in the cold, which when your job revolves around needing your eyes to not get electrocuted and also lots of driving, it's not my favourite thing in the world.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Electrocuted whilst driving.
well, yeah, you don't want to get electrocuted whilst driving. That's the worst way to go. I mean, to be fair, I think most people need their eyes for work. There's not many jobs I can think of where you don't require your eyes for work, at least.
What about a call center operator? I suppose they're reading a script. So yeah, no, I can't think of one.
Yeah, we used to have to, when I worked in the call center, it used to be you had to still be able to see stuff on the screen. Although to not break data protection, every time a new call started, I turned my screen off so that I didn't give anything away. Because like there were people who used to get done for sometimes if a customer put in their account number, it would come up with all of their information, and like people got sacked for breaking data protection because they just sort of went, "Oh yeah, I've got your stuff on the screen." They just went into it, so I used to just turn my screen off.
Well,
And
that sounds like a flawed system of the company rather than the employee. I mean, if that's what it does, and it shouldn't be doing it. But
Mm,
anyway, not here to talk union.
not yet, not yet. Anyway, how about you?
Not yet. Not yet. Not until the Model Rail Replacement Podcast goes on strike for pay, any pay. I want to rise. Been doing this for like 2 years. Haven't seen a penny.
That's not true. You have
Steve's Patreon. It's just beer money. It's all we're spending it on. It's not buying me a mansion.
no. You need to encourage more people to join our Patreon for that. I tell you what would work.
Are you
Is it
listening right now? Are you enjoying this podcast? Are you feeling a bit guilty that I'm not living in a mansion? Then maybe you should go over to Patreon and give us some money. Is that good enough advert?
Yeah, I think you should start creating Patreon only content though.
Patreon only content.
I don't know what you do.
I don't know. We did look at it. We did come up with some ideas. It's that it's that thing where we're a bit too busy to do that stuff. But doing that stuff would then give us more time because we'd be having a source of income to cover it, I suppose.
Yeah, this is very true. I mean,
We have spoken about doing Patreon only stuff, but again, yeah, it's I don't know.
we also
We
d-
pull up things now.
we also struggle weekly to make sure that we actually get our episodes out on time. So
Yes, this is quite a problem since you changed.
yeah, hands up, it's my fault. I now don't have a flexible time either day or night. It is now a case of that I am only free in the evenings, which when I'm a tired person anyway, doesn't really help. So it is my fault. All I can say is I think James should just do Patreon only stuff, and then James can have the money for it.
It's
I mean, I'm saying
yeah.
that as the person who our highest paid tier is where I do stuff, and you you do nothing regarding it.
Hey, I came up with this podcast idea. Let's not forget that.
It was both our idea. It was both our idea.
Oh, yeah. If you listen to the story on the shunting yard, then it sounds like it was both right.
I mean,
But it
if
was
you
definitely me who suggested.
oh no, I'm trying to think of like great duos who effectively broke up because they both thought that they started it. How are you?
Well, you know what? I'm pleased. I'm very pleased because it's taken 2 weeks longer than planned, but that's how things usually go with me. Today, I managed to finish wiring up Lenny's little TT layout on the dining room table that we're building. Not our actual dining room table. My wife would not approve of such things, but the dining room table that my neighbour was throwing out. So we have trains running on it now, and the points all throw, all of them. You press buttons and they all throw, which I think is the first time I've ever built a layout where I haven't had to go under the baseboard after I think I've finished wiring to try and sort a problem out. I was very pleased with that. The fact that you pressed all the buttons, every single one of them. It was glorious, glorious moment. And the train went round and it didn't stall. Well, it did. I think we have this conversation later with our guest, but that's more to do with a manufacturing problem than my layout. Yeah, it was great. Which means, I mean, he's told me now he wants the scenery on it, and I was like, well, it needs a bedding in process to make sure it works properly before we start building the scenery, which was my excuse to try and buy me some time to actually work on the 009. But we'll see about that. It might be just better just to finish off the TT layout and then do the 009. But I have promised, the watchers of my channel, I would go back to 009. So it's been good. Yourself?
My only real hobby was that I did Rapido Rail-X with Tom from Buggers Kelly Station, and I helped out on his stand for the day, and it was really fun. Part of my homework for that week was to actually watch Oh Mr. Porter. Hey Mr. Porter. Oh Mr. Porter.
Hey, I'm confused. Me. Yeah, so Mr. Porter.
Oh Mr. Porter. Thank you. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if like me, I'm a bit adverse to watching black and white films because I can't pay attention to them. But Tom's homework for me was
You're a film racist. That's what that is.
Wow.
You only like it in colour.
I think you would be the first person to say it's because I have ADHD that I can't watch black and white films. And I tell you, it was thoroughly enjoyable. I actually really enjoyed watching it. And I said to Tom, it reminds me of the sort of the comedy style of Blues Brothers films. So if you like the Blues Brothers films, go and watch Hey Mr. Porter, Oh Mr. Porter, Mr. Porter's Buggles Kelly Station.
It's a Will Hay. Just look up for Will Hay, Mr. Porter. You'll find it.
But you can watch it on YouTube, and it is really, really enjoyable. And then, I had a really nice day. And then we had Stephen, the British Railroader, who came to see us for the day. We were right opposite Chris from Model U, and then we also went for dinner with Tony from Tony's Trains of Rugby and Flatpack, who I am told is his real name, and Chris's wife as well for the evening. And it was a really, really nice evening. And then we eventually met up with some of the Rapido lot and had a few drinks with them before I then drove home. But that was pretty much the only thing I can really say that I've done hobby wise in the last week or so. Apologies, I think.
That sounds all right. I look like you had a nice time, nice little evening, nice meal, and sound like good company. Yeah, and, it's always good. I mean, I like having a chat with Tony when I go see him at the shop. So I'm sure it was a splendid time having dinner with the likes. And
well, Tony did outright tell me that you are his favourite. So I know sometimes you feel like you are ignored, but someone did actually outright tell me that you are the favourite. So there you go.
It's only because I spend a lot of money here.
He can have whatever reasons he likes, but he made it very clear to me that you are the favourite.
Yes, I have to buy his love.
I'll leave that up to you. So yeah. And I tell you one thing: seeing the SECR green locomotive pulling those red coaches round on the Rapido stand. Oh my gosh, that it was beautiful. And I think I texted you and said, "This is so beautiful," and it's one of those like I might buy a 00 gauge train and coaches just because of how beautiful it is, and I've not had that in a very, very long time. I didn't, luckily. Seeing all of Rapido's stuff at that weekend, it was just really nice because a lot of Rapido stuff tends to be sort of more Steam era based. I tend to not necessarily be drawn to it as much as some of the other manufacturers, not because I don't like it, because I know that I probably won't be buying it because it won't fit on my layout, and now it doesn't fit in my gauge. But seeing it all in the flesh is beautiful, and I think we are really, really lucky with what they've got out there on the market, and I am really looking forward to those 009 locos coming out as well.
Yes, they're great. I can't remember who we had a chat with the other week. Someone said, "Did Rapido do any diesels?" And I said, "Oh, they did the." No, it's just me and you.
Yeah, just us.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, they do the Engage Class 44." But I thought about it because I listened back to the episode. And I thought, actually, they do some other stuff. So they did the APTE. That's one of their models. They also work with real track models, and they produce the Class 156. And they're all stunning diesel electric models. So yeah, even though they are very concentrating on steam, they do make some nice diesel stuff when they do get around to doing it. But yeah, the O1, I saw a photo with the O1 with it's the sort of I'm not sure the correct term. I know Dark Lake is the brown colour for the Southeastern and Chatham Railway coaches, but there's a sort of more of a crimson red colour behind the O1 in Southeastern green. Yeah, it looks absolutely stunning. And I think I've got a few of those coaches on order, but I know with the third batch they're doing, Rails have the exclusive rights to the Southeastern Chatham Railway coaches for those for the third batch. I'm going to have to double check now what the second batch colour is because I want the bright red ones.
Yeah, it's almost like an NSE red is the best way
Yeah.
I can describe it. But it was so beautiful, and I got to talk to loads of the Rapido guys, including Dan from Pedantic Model Railways. Dan, if you're listening, thank you. We had a really nice chat during the day as well. In fact, we had lots of chats, and yeah, it was a different experience being on a trade stand for the day and just sort of helping Tom out with selling his wares and stuff. And like Tom has a really passionate following and he knows a lot of people, and it was quite nice as sort of like a background observer, just sort of seeing people come up and just sort of asking to, like, who have clearly seen Tom multiple times at different shows, and it's quite nice, and it's quite nice to see that his business is doing so well.
Yeah, definitely. That's yeah. I was nice to the man and talked to Tom quite a bit when he was at Oxford the other week, and yeah, as you say, it's I try not to talk to him too much to if he's got customers there and that, but yeah, it is nice to see that, especially when you know how much hard work he's put into his business. It's about time you sat behind a legitimate business at a show, I suppose, as well. So.
Oh, oh, how dare you, good sir?
I mean,
I can't argue. I can't argue with you. I do feel like Fagin sometimes.
I mean, you have the better adverts, but then again, you're using the other business to make your adverts.
I mean, technically, I don't really know. I feel like it's one of those cars where we've replaced parts over the years, and actually, how much of the original car is still there? Because now I'm only Winston and me saying about Emperor's Path. So actually, the initial we were talking about this the other day. I can't remember how to do the original Chester Worthington voice.
Look at that. That's how it all started.
Yeah, but it was such a caricature, and I was talking to Tom about this at the show. And I said, the thing is I actually was modeling it on a genuine voice. So anyone who doesn't know, there's a place called Pewsey, which is it's in between Devizes and Marlborough sort of area of Wiltshire.
Near Swindon.
Near Swindon. And it is very much that sort of, that the accent is genuine to there, because I spent a lot of my childhood growing up in Pewsey. And in many pubs in the area and on the canals, and I very much so tailored that accent to that. But the problem is it's pretty much only there where it has that heavy a twang, and then it sort of goes a little bit different as you sort of go out from there. But I mean, it was based on a real accent. I was telling Tom about it, but Tom's just a better generic West Country accent, I guess. Let us know on this episode if you want the original Chester Worthington and Chester Worthington the fourth, I think Tom is, to have a conversation. We'll work something out. Either way, yeah, Tom.
Yeah,
Tom
no,
pretty much
you know
does
what? Yeah, I know how to do it. That's our next advert sorted. So
perfect. Thanks, James.
I've got. I'm not going to say it now. I'll spoil it. I've got it. You're going to love it.
Be careful though, because you've also got to think of the Christmas advert for December as well.
Well, that's just me.
Yeah.
Well, I'll sport it now. I'll sport it now. All the kids know, right? It's just me. I'm Father Christmas. Yeah.
Well, we've gone off the rails. We're delirious at this point.
Yeah. Let's go talk some news. Right, Sam. There's not much news this week, but there is quite a few announcements from our friends at Model U. We already mentioned them. With numerous products. So starting off, they have various figures which kind of coincided with their appearance at RailX with Rapido. there will be crews for the Port of Bagnall locos, which, to be honest, they're probably like the only figures that are going to fit in those tiny little squat cabs. So they are probably a go-to for them. And you can get them as a 2-crew pack. There's a Port of Par crew pack if you just want the single loco. They're also going to have crews for their fireless Andrew Barclay locos. There's crews for their O1 crew pack. So that's the South Eastern Chatham Railway O1 that we were just discussing. And you can get them in the earlier, I think, overalls and later BR overalls. The forthcoming Hellion Class 153 will be having... this is quite cool because I think they've done it for the various gauges as well, but I think it's for... The intention is for the O gauge model, but obviously with Model U, they can make the models any size you like. So yeah, there's passengers coming and crew for the Hellion, as I say, Class 153, and also will be able to be put in the N gauge and OO gauge models of your choice. Further steam crews include GWR firemen, GWR firemen looking at the injectors. There's British Railways GWR Auto Coach Passenger Pack, and in 009 there is the Tala Kling crew, which I do believe features our friend George as the driver. So that's all the crews, and then there's loads of new little 3D accessories coming from them, including an oil drum. There's loco brake blocks that are stacked, so sort of a depot detail. Fire hose cabinets, there's standpipes, slide jack, loco oil supply cans, large oil supply can, there's driver's bag, driver's rucksack, depending on the era. So the bag's more of a steam era, the rucksack's more for your modern era. Shunter's pole, loco crew jackets. Now that's quite a cool one. Sort of little detail, sort of having hanging up on the wall. I like that. Sandbox filler. So it looks like a watering can, but with a bigger nozzle. There's hydraulic jacks. There's reels of hose pipe, oil barrels, plastic barrels, oil feed cans, inspection flare lamps, GWR loco brake blocks. There's a blacksmith's anvil, blacksmith's forge, blacksmith's leg vice. So if you want to model a blacksmith, you're pretty much covered there. Assorted fire bars, and there's stores, lockers, fitters lockers, cleaners trestles, tank engine fire iron set, manual switch stands for point levers. So these look quite good. There's various types as well, depending on your era of what you want to model. So yeah, these are all announced by Model U, available through the website or through their various selected retailers, and in the various gauges that you may wish to purchase in. And as I say, if you go through Model U themselves, there's all sorts of choices to get it into pretty much any scale you like. So some great stuff in there. I can say that I've already got a couple of those crews. I've got the O1 crew turned up today for my splendid O1 model. So I'm looking forward to painting them and putting them in. And yeah, there we are. Right then, guest for this week then. I'm not quite sure how you've got him on because I thought he was in Belgium, but it's Laurie, isn't it?
I don't know how to tell you this. He couldn't make it.
Okay.
So
Richard from New
instead,
Junction?
no, he couldn't make it.
Oh.
Well, I did get us our first OBE.
Really? Well, it doesn't matter about Hornby Magazine now. I knew the King was listening to us. We've got an OBE.
I meant OBE as in a guest, not as in we're getting an OBE. I mean, you're not getting an OBE. I might be, but yeah, we have got Paul from St Saviours Railway coming on.
Splendid. Let's go have a chat with him.
Wilson? Wilson!
Yes, sir?
Is everything set for His Majesty's arrival?
Yes, sir. The chefs are preparing the banquet, and his room is prepared.
And the model room as per his request?
Yes, sir. The models are all out on display.
Your Majesty, Welcome to my humble abode. Yes, very good old sport. Come on, let's play trains. Absolutely, Your Majesty. What's this? Something wrong, Your Majesty? These locos, they're so clean, so fresh, like they're straight out of the box. All cleaned up for your arrival. Oh no, my dear boy. You know what I want. I want it dirty. Dirty? Show me your dirty shunter. Okay, here you go. Oh yes, that's the stuff. Who made this filth?
It was Emperor's Path, Your Majesty.
I think I'll have to make a royal appointment myself, and still have some change to buy my new helicopter.
You can get your models weathered by Emperor's Path using just the airbrush for a light dusting, or alternatively, oil paints and airbrush to add that extra depth. Contact Emperor's Path on Instagram at emperors_path, or alternatively, emperorspathcontact@gmail.com.
Emperor's Path? I'm the only emperor around here.
Oh, Lord Chester, what do you get up to with the king? Right, we're back, and we haven't done this for a while. It's been some time since we've asked this set of questions. It's time for a guest. And this week, we've got Paul from St Saviours Railway. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you very much indeed for inviting me on. It's a big honour. Really, chuffed to be here. So thank you.
Not a problem at all. Yeah, we always like modelers coming on to talk about their trade. Let's hear a little bit about yourself. How did you start off, sort of thing? Because you weren't always St Saviours Railway, were you?
No. So it's a game of two halves, really. I started my interest in model railways at the age of 12, when sort of Lego got pushed to one side, and I can remember playing, because I'm getting on now, I can remember playing Lego during the strikes in 1976 by candlelight. And then I reached the glorious age of 12 and found Engage, and a little local shop to me only sold Continental stuff. So I ended up buying Fleischmann Engage, which set me back a fortune and set my parents back a fortune every single birthday and Christmas. And I used to mug my brother and run up and say, "Can I have 27 weeks pocket money in advance, please? I promise I'll pay you back." And then run down and buy a coach or something. And for sort of 12 to 17, built a little Engage layout. And I finally found, because we live in a different world these days, don't we? Where we take a million pictures of everything we do. And I finally found the one and only picture I had of that layout. And I started on my Instagram earlier this year, just as a wow, yeah, it did exist. It's not a figment of my dreams. And then life took over, really. I sold my layout to buy my first motorbike, and then found girls and university and all the other stuff you do in life, and then had a 40-year break. And then I've come back to it properly about 2.5 years ago. I was lucky enough to semi-retire at 55, and I took a little job in a railway shop for 2 years because deep inside it's always been there. I've just kept it suppressed. And I was on holiday in North Wales with my good lady, the long-haired general, as she will be known as. And she made me, we went to the Festiniog and we loved it. And then she, "Oh, look at that." And we were in the bookshop and I picked up a book on BR Blue diesels. And that was nearly 3 years ago, and the rest is history, really. It was like a gateway drug. It was like, "Oh, this is fun." And then popped into the local model shop and were chatting about where models had gone these days. And they put a sound-fitted Peak on there, and Peak's one of my favourite locos. It was like, oh no. And the fuse was lit. And then onwards, it's been a couple of years of craziness. I've in the last year especially, I've been doing nothing but virtually constant modelling, because I was lucky enough to fully retire a year ago and got to do something with my time. So people might wonder how the hell the layout progresses at the speed it does. Well, the good lady works 4 days a week, so 4 8s, 32 hours I'm left here on my own. So there's got to be something to do. And
can I just interrupt? Because even so Paul and I have been friends for a couple of years, and I know that even before you retired, your previous iteration of your layout also went along with an amazing speed. And I think that's something that you, especially on Instagram, and I think there's plenty of people out there, and I know Pete from NSC Latchmere definitely agrees with me on this one. You just have this knack of, even when you were still working, of being able to do all of your stuff very quickly. I mean, yes, okay, you've retired now and it's even quicker than the previous layout, but you still are very quick at what you do and still having impressive results because of it.
Oh, that's kind of you. I mean, I I was thinking the other day about opening up my own little train shop. I'm not going to, but I was working out names for it. I decided I'd just call it Tism Trains, because I think we're all touched with a little bit of that somewhere along the line. And for me, I'm plagued with the completer finisher. So I start something and I've just got to finish it to the best of my ability. And if I don't, I sort of chasten myself. So many a time I shall either be up. It's stupid. Again, the older you get, the less sleep you need. I wake up at 5 o'clock going, now, where shall I stick that signal? Which is a really sad way to live your life, you know. And then at 5:30, I'm out in the workshop putting the thing in. So yeah, it's just I don't know. I have a strong level of sadness currently, and I'm not going to get political. Don't worry, it's not a political podcast, but I have a strong level of sadness where the world is at the moment. And to be quite frank, I come into my little workshop. Well, it's not so little now. It's 7 meters by 3, which is an absolute gift, and I'm lucky to have it. But I come in here and shut the door, and it's roughly 1980 in here, and I stick on some 1980s music or good podcast or two, and the world's a better place. And I think, to be frank, with all the horribleness in the world, if people might take the mickey out of the hobby and all this sort of stuff, but it's funny, all my friends, none of my close group of friends do this, and they all initially took the mick until they came and saw it, and then next thing they want to do is play. And it's like, yeah, of course we can. Let's play trains. Delightfully harmless, and just takes you away from what's out there at the moment, which isn't that nice, is it?
No, that's very true. What podcasts do you recommend then?
Well, I have to admit, being sad enough to listen to every single one of your guys, and because I'm out here for 32 hours a week sometimes.
I thought you were going to recommend something good.
No, I also have caught up on. I started Green Signals, and I started episode 1 and listened for the stuff that's been going on for the last 2 years or so. But I've got 2 episodes to go to catch up. So I've done 100 and something of those. And a lot of music and a bit of Radio 4. Trust me, you gentlemen are too young for that. But there will come a time when your radio dial moves up from 1 or 2 or wherever you might be residing now and lands at Radio 4, which is quite a sad part of your life, but you let it go. It's just part of the aging process.
That's not. I used to listen to Radio 4 back in the crossing box about 15 years ago. That and 4 Extra. So I got there a lot earlier.
Oh, well, good on you. See, you've matured well faster than I did. I think I just described myself as a 57-year-old child, so I'll take that.
I mean, that amount of hours of podcasting and various radio, then that explains how you have got through your layout so quick. But yeah, as Sam says, it's impressive how fast. I went and double checked today, just have a quick back look at your Instagram account just to refresh my mind before we started chatting, and I was like looking again. Well, is this the right account? It was baseboards last week, wasn't it? So.
It was baseballs last November, yeah, and we're probably. I'm hoping to get it done by Christmas, but there are days. I've also. It's funny. I listened to one of your episodes where you're talking about burnout, and I was like, "What do you mean burnout? I don't get that." And then recently, I've had a couple of days where I've just gone, "I don't want to do too much today." I have days where I come out, roll my sleeves up, and it's like, yep, it's like these 3 days. I've just been doing loads of static grassing and scenics and stuff, and I've basically done 7 meters of embankments and static grasses and bushes and God knows what. And I'm sort of like, tomorrow, where I actually have a day as well where I'm going to be doing a bit of this, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll just put some couplings on something, or paint some benches for the station, because I have days where I make a right old mess out here and then have a big old tidy up back through again and then draw breath. And also, because Sam nags me horrendously for not doing this, I need to run some trains. So yeah, very soon I shall get some more stuff running around. But it's like, in the middle of the building, you've got to stop to clean track and all that sort of stuff. So
He tells me the same, to be honest. I just don't think he appreciates modelling. He's just a child who just likes to watch little electric mice just whiz around.
Thing is, right, I know that both of you, I mean, Paul even more so, I know both of you have plenty of stock, so it's not a case of that you don't have stock for your layouts. I think you just put so much time into all of these things, and Paul especially. I mean, we'll move on to the questions shortly, but Paul especially, I know that he has the ability to run at least two separate trains, even if he worked on other lines. Like, it's that sort of thing of, I just believe, and I also know how much rolling stock you have, Paul. So,
yeah, I
like,
wasn't going to talk about that. I was going to park the problem and leave it. I insured the cabin the other day, and I cried. I put my head in my hands and went, no. But again, could I have done this 5 years ago? No, I've just been seeing my two kids through uni. Prior to that, I was paying off a mortgage. It's just timing has lined up. I'm lucky that I've got time. And sadly, I lost both my parents in close succession. And the only good part of that was I ended up with a tiny inheritance, and I put that in a pot. And I went, well, I'm not going to have a midlife crisis and because I'm past the midlife bit, buy myself a Harley Davidson. That's my railway fund. So I am lucky. I'm lucky that I've got the space to put it. I've got the time to build it, and I've got a little fund that I can pull on. So I'm not there going, oh, well, yeah, there's stuff that's got to be done this month. I better wait another month and a half to buy some more grass or something. So that's part of the honest reason about why it progresses at speed as well, is I'm just lucky enough, and I realize I'm blessed that the stars have aligned.
I feel like that's the most deep opening we've had on an interview yet. So
Sorry.
No, your Emmy's in the post.
Yeah, you wait until you get into the questions. No, it's yeah. I don't know. I just love this. It's something a lot of people won't know about me. I've spent 35 plus years in search and rescue medicine, and whilst some of that is nice, a lot of it isn't nice. And I'm just heading towards retirement in that sphere now. That's just been the volunteering side of my life, and that's a lot of anguish and sadness, and this is just the nice bit. This is like, yeah, I've earned this bit. I've earned this bit of happiness, so I'll roll with it.
Good for you. Sorry, James, I interrupted you.
That's all right. Fair enough. But it's always nice to get that position where you can just invest, because not everyone has that, and sometimes it can be a bit tough to enjoy the hobby when it's so expensive. So
it's just great. It's. I know you talk about it a lot, and I understand, having worked in the shop, and please, for everyone who's listening, try to support your little railway shop. I can remember having quite heated debates over the till with customers who there was this one lovely old gentleman who was buying a sound fitted steam locomotive. We were £3.50 more expensive than the big online boys, and he was like, oh, can't you price match? And we were like, come on, dude. We're making and you'd be amazed when things start to go to rock bottom. If you've never been in that world, you might walk into a retailer and think, goodness me, I don't know, let's say £230, £240 for a discounted sound fitted loco. The retailer might be making a tenner on that. You're spending a lot of money. Their margins on rolling stock and locomotives are tiny. And then you're like, can I have another £3.50 or £4.50 off? And below you know it, you're ending up actually seeing stuff go out the door at cost price, and then there's no point in keeping the doors open. So just try to be nice. And if your local shop is, a few quid more, try to support them, because when they're not there, you'll be paying post and package on everything anyway. And
I was about to say, that chap's still saving 50p.
Yeah.
£4 right?
The funniest thing is, well, we did point that out to him. The funniest thing is he then bought a second one. It was like, oh, okay. And he wanted another £3.50 off his second one.
Right. Let's move on to our questions then. So we'll start with, I think I know this answer already from what you mentioned. As you said, 1980s is the strong point. I was hoping when you said you got to the Festiniog, it might have been the narrow gauge that, bitten you, but alas, probably not. Are you steam, diesel, or electric?
Well, I suppose I have my biggest, let's call them the Francois Bourgeois moments of sheer elation, probably with a big, smelly blue-grey diesel. But And this is why some of my questions might take a while to answer for you. But I have to say, recently, I've spent a lot more time around Steam, having time to go out, and a good lady who's happy to go to heritage railways and such like, and seen a lot more Steam, and actually got happily engaged behind Sir Nigel Gresley. Sir Nigel Gresley has a really special place in our hearts, but also I'm sort of morphing towards Steam. It is diesel right now, but Steam is coming up on the rails for that. Just I've been surprised about the sort of living, breathing beast that is half animal, half machine. So yeah, it's still the big smelly diesel, but Steam's close on the rails.
Oh, there we are. See, it won't be too long then to it's Mark 3 of the layout, right?
But well, I've got a heritage layout on this one now. You see, and that allows me to run. And I've been buying the recent purchases have all been Steam locos. So yes, something's going wrong somewhere.
Yeah, I fell for that trap when I'll have a heritage line, and then it just the bug gets you. But so we're diesel, but Steam closely creeping up.
Yep,
I think that's the satisfactory answer for Sam. He does like you to stick to one answer. He's very militant like that.
He's got a few surprises coming up then.
You make it sound like I'm a big bad wolf. I just feel like
a little bad wolf.
Like a wee little cub.
I did like the picture of you with Tom from Bugglescuttle Station. It did look like Hagrid and Harry. Just a lovely.
You're a wizard, Sam.
Was that just the angle, or is Tom very tall?
I mean, Tom is quite tall.
Tom is quite tall. I think Tom's 7'5", something like that.
Next question then is, what's your favourite scale?
Well, this might surprise you, but it's not 00. He says, sat surrounded by a large 00 layout. I've got a massive soft spot for O gauge. Basically, from a wonderful, wonderful period of my childhood, when a gentleman down our road, who was also our scoutmaster, this is already sounding like a wrong story, but bear with it, who was a lovely gent who had a huge garden railway with the really old-fashioned tin wind-up O gauge locos that he just used to polish, and they used to gleam in the sun. And as a sort of, we'd go down and knock his door and go, "Oh, can we play with your layout today?" And he'd make us go out with dustpan and brushes and clean all the track from all the leaf debris and garden debris that would be on it. And as a reward, he'd normally bring out what I now know to be a battery-powered Hymec and some very basic sort of blue-grey Mark 1s. We were allowed to run these around this garden layout. And then as a treat, every now and then, not every session we did that, but every now and then he would bring out one of his clockwork beautiful tin locomotives and some stunning coaches behind it, and he would run that around the garden with us. And just joyous times, probably, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old. And now when I see, working the shop, you saw some of the O gauge that was coming through and some of the big heavy diesels. I was sending a guy an O gauge Deltic, and I was just looking at it going, this is just beautiful. It's such a size and weight that it has this presence, and it makes, I love my 00 layout, but it makes 00 look like a toy. If two 00 coaches bounce into each other, they look like a plastic toy. When a O gauge loco backs up to an O gauge sort of decent sized coach, it just takes it up that gear. So if the retirement pot was bigger and the workshop was bigger, or I had a garden that I could easily punch into, then I'd be staring at O gauge now. But those stars didn't align, but still got a big old part of my heart from my childhood.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, O gauge I think it's the stunning scale, and particularly more appealing the older you get, and the eyesight gets worse.
I think it tends to be the layout, the scale size that a lot of people say would be their dream scale, and if they had I think that's that phrase of if they had the space, they put O gauge in, right? But it always comes down to space. Hence why some people go all the way down to N. Some go as far as T in some parts. But yeah, it seems that O is always that would be my dream if I had the space, if I had the money, if I had seems to be the phrase that has darted around before the mention of O.
Well, it's funny you say about space, because my layout's in a 7 meter by 3 meter workshop in the garden, which used to be my office when I was working. I could put O gauge in here, but I've been, some of the exhibitions I've been visiting or working at with the shop that I worked for, there was like 7-meter O gauge layouts there, and you'd go, ooh. But then you notice, what did they have? They had a very nice station or a very nice TMD in that 7 meters. Whereas here I've got, 4 continuously big loops, a 6-line station and a 4-line station and a 6-line fiddle yard and a TMD and an EMU stabling point in the same space that I could have just a station or just a TMD. So playability wise, I'm over the moon with this. But yeah, if I was Rod Stewart or Pete Waterman, and I had the space, then hey presto, that would be the scale.
You'd have a model of them in Spa Station.
Yeah, quite.
Lovely. So yeah, O gauge, a lovely choice for scale. Always one we agree with. Okay, cool. We'll move on to the next question of what is the favourite loco that you own?
That is a tough one because I'm blessed to have quite a few. But I suppose for more sentimental reasons than modelling reasons, I've got a Sir Nigel Gresley. So that's my sentimental favourite. My other main favourite is quite a rank outsider, you might say. But I was lucky enough to pick up a Sutton Loco Works 24.
Ooh, nice.
And I have to say, nothing has touched it that I own. And I've got a lovely spread of Bachmann and Curascale and Cavalex, and they're all lovely. But I have to say, the Sutton Loco Works 24, for the sound, the drivability, the sound file, the quality of the sound, the speakers in it, the actual detail of it when you put it alongside other 24s, it's a game changer. And they get talked about so very little. It's absolutely beautiful. Really is really something quite special. So that's the other one. That's the modelling special as opposed to the sentimental special.
That is a worthy choice. Yeah, as you say, the Sutton Works Class 24s are absolutely spectacular. I for a period of time had the Rail Technical Centre livery one.
The experiment,
yeah, and it was just a different quality of model. It was. I mean, I think they aimed for museum sort of levels of detail on it, and it was that good. I was frightened to run it, to be honest. Just in case it fell off the layout and got broke. But yeah, no, that's a very worthy choice there. Superb locos. The Sir Nigel Gresley, is that a Bachmann model? Or is it a Hornby one? Or is it one of their 00 ones that they've done?
It was the latest release 001 they did.
So the die-cast body
and such like, yeah. It was a bit of a pig to put. I have to say, I sound chipped it, and it didn't like a whole variety of chips. It ran really badly until I actually put one of the Hornby HM7000s in it, and then it ran as sweet as a nut. So, but now it's all set up. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, they do look really, really nice. Those A4s. Something about, I don't know, that sort of 00 quality about them, isn't there?
Yeah, and the colour. I just love that sort of what do they call it? Rail Express Blue or
Rail Express Blue, yeah.
Yeah, just that lovely colour. I prefer that to the LNER lighter blue. It's just, and when you see that thing, as I'm sure many of your listeners will have done, actually in the metal, and it's they polished it to just perfection, and it just gleams in the sun. It's just something a bit different.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, it is. It was always a curiosity back in the days of VR that when the regions were allowed a little bit more sort of free reign on the colour of their locomotives. Like the Midlands started painting some of their express engines red. The Western started getting chocolate and cream out for their coaches and that again. There's always a curiosity that the Eastern region never put the A4s back into blue. And I don't know why, because like you say, that BR Rail Express Blue, it must have been picked for those locos because it just sits on them so well.
It's just gorgeous, isn't it? Just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, a really, really lovely livery. So those are your favourites that you own. and you've managed to divide it into two separate categories. So Sam can't get you on a technicality there. So well played. Is there a favourite loco you don't own?
If it helps, I was sat here laughing away at the thought of Paul not owning something. So I'm really intrigued to see what this is.
Don't be mean now. Don't be mean. Yeah, I number my sound chips just numerically, and we've reached 200 and something now, which is getting a bit silly. But anyway, the favourite loco that I don't own is one that is yet to be made. I would just, and I've only seen one in plastic, and that was one of Danny from Various Multiple Units, Amazing Creations. I just wish that, and I don't know why they don't do it. You know, Bachmann, for example, have done the overhead, 350 to zeros and that sort of stuff, and they've done all the third rail stuff. But just a ready-to-run 1980s overhead EMU, 309, 308, 310, just something like that, I think would be lovely. And they could do it in blue-grey, they could do it in blue, they could do it in Network Southeast. They could have a nice little run of liveries with it. I'm just stunned that no one's done when you think if you're, modelling that era of the 80s and 90s, you've got your 84s, 85s, 86s, 87s, etc. But if you're modelling overhead electric, you've got no real units to stick with it apart from obvious DMUs. So yes, favourite loco I don't own, ready to run overhead EMU, please.
I think we talked about this when we talked about how there is a considerable amount more overhead electric stock out there, but it's a bit of a crying shame that let's say what you'd consider your stereotypical EMU, whilst obviously we have the third rail version down here, it is weird that there's not been an overhead version of that in that sort of that Network Southeast livery, because it wasn't until I started watching sort of some train spotting videos from around like North London and upwards that I even knew that there were EMUs that look like that. So yeah, it's weird considering how much of the country is overhead electric or was overhead electric. It is weird that units like that just haven't broken the market, I guess, or manufacturers have never done it.
Yeah, I can always remember as a kid going sort of train spotting in London, and a friend of mine and I would go up from Dorset where I live up into Waterloo, and then literally you'd sort of almost take the Circle Line, man, and you'd zip into Victoria, then you'd zip into Paddington, and we'd always hit sort of Euston by lunchtime, and there was I nearly answered, you see, there was nearly electric on the favourite when you said diesel, steam or electrics, because it was nearly a three-pronged answer, purely because Euston just seemed this almost magical place. You went there and there was something completely different to what you were used to, used to Dorset, third rail, 40Cs, 33s, 47s, 73s. And you went there and there were these things that came in and they sort of hummed and their pantographs went up and down. And, 87s in the day did look just unbelievable. They're like spaceships. And just sitting on the end of Euston and watching all these things fly in and out, and then later on, progressing up as far as Birmingham New Street and places like that. It sort of overhead became a cool, this is something completely different to what we see in the south, and that was lovely, and that's led to an interest as well, which is why I think it'd be lovely to have an overhead. Obviously Curascaler are doing it with putting in the one they're doing now, which is great for modern modelers, but
the 377,
yeah, no one sort of popped back to the earlier ones, and when you think, it's not like they don't model it, do they? We've got loads of 1980s DMUs. They've done everything, the 101s right the way up through, haven't they?
Yeah, it's curious, isn't it? Because like Farish, under the Bachmann branding, did the 319, and I think everyone was expecting it to be grown up and become a 00 model at some point, and it just never seemed to appear. And I don't know, maybe the costings of it, maybe the N1 didn't sell that well. I don't know if the N-gauge market is a good one to work out if the O-gauge market will be a better seller or not. I don't know, but yeah, like you say, it's just curious. There does seem to be that gap in the market for the 80s and 90s modeler.
Yeah, and it really came home when I saw the one that Danny's built and repainted, and it was just like, that's beautiful. that if only that was out there for purchase, that would be fantastic. But maybe we can all cross our fingers and hope.
That's all you can do. Or you can just be like Cav and Alex from last week and just start your own business.
That was brilliant. That was a lovely interview. That was good.
It was a great chat. I thought. I think a lot of people enjoyed that. So it was nice to get an insight into the world of making your own models as well.
Yeah, it's nice to have a mainstream manufacturer just come and sit with you and just tell it how it is. And the fact you can tell the passion, the fact they're both modelers and both, completely passionate about what they're creating. I mean, and that comes out in what they have created, and they're gorgeous. So yeah, no, maybe Cam and Alex, if you're listening, maybe pop us in a 1980s EMU.
They can get one out after the 47, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of these classes are covered now. I think.
Yeah, I mean, without doubt, Bachmann are listening to you as well, because of where your market stance is now. So Bachmann, if you're listening as well, of course you're listening. Can we have some EMUs, please?
But I think they follow us on Instagram, so we know that much. we don't know if that actually means they listen to the podcast, but we like to assume so. Right then, I think it's a good shout out for the loco that you don't own. And I suppose we'll just see if someone answers your call. So obviously this is your second attempt at a layout, I think, since returning, as you've said. So what is your favourite project you've undertaken so far?
It has to be the one I'm currently on. So anyone who knows, but for those who didn't, I started a layout and finished it, and then 2 days after finishing it, it all got ripped up. Not because I didn't like it, because I did, but I made it in a loft bedroom, and the long-haired general wanted the loft bedroom back. So and sadly I built it in such a way that it fitted in every alcove in this loft room, because it's a proper room, not just a sort of boarded out loft, and so it wasn't sort of interchangeable. Plus I'd made so many mistakes on it. It's amazing what you learn. And when I came to do this one, I was determined. I drew myself up a 6-point plan to save the failure a second time, which, if you want, I will share with your listeners.
Oh yeah,
of any use to them. So the first thing I realised on the previous Effingham Junction, which lots of people said lots of lovely things about on Instagram, and I know Sam came and saw it and loved it and such like, but it was totally flawed because I hadn't planned it at all. And so I sort of, which is unlike me, and I sort of decided I was going to have a big terminus and a big sort of TMD and a couple of loops, and then I started to use it, and it was like, and I'd already scenicked it and stuff, and then my normal speed, and it was like, this isn't much fun, and this is a bit silly because something goes through the station, and then very quickly it's passing back the station again, and so then I started screwing boards to wall and sort of building a bridge to go across so I could actually have a much bigger loop. And then when it came to signaling it, which I know is something close to your heart, I suddenly realized that I'd had this crazy idea when I was building it, that I wanted any train to be able to go from any point in the layout to any other point in the layout, which is obviously totally non-prototypical, if we want to use that word. And I hadn't thought of up lines and down lines, and so when I came to signal it, it was impossible to signal because it was just so, it just wouldn't exist in the real world. So the things I've learned for this one, the first thing was really plan, and I got some software, and I kept drawing it, and then thinking about it, and thinking about all the things that I wanted it to do. I wanted the playability in it. I wanted certain things in it, but I also wanted to be able to signal it and it to run in some sort of. I'm not a rivet counter by any means, and I'm very happy with rule one. But I just wanted it to be as close to something sensible that could exist as possible. So that was the sort of massive planning stage. And then the next thing I found that I really screwed up on last time was, in this sort of mad desperation to get it done, I'd run up Rail Shop and it'd be like, oh, can I have an Electrofrog point? No, we haven't got any in stock. Oh, right, don't worry, I'll take an Infrafrog. And I'd just buy anything, and I'd buy curve points, and And very quickly, I learned that just if you put Pico set track curve points anywhere on your layout, just expect the things to come off. Nothing seems to run on them. And
Hate those points. Hate them.
not
They
me.
can be so useful, but they're not.
Yeah, that's not me knocking Pico. It was just the biggest thing that got brought up in the shop. People would come to the counter and go, "Why does everything fall off on these?" And and even some of the the streamlined curve points could be a bit tricky. So I made the golden rule: I would have no curve points on my new layout at all, and everything had to be Electrofrog, because I got so sad with just rubbish running. We spend a lot of money on the hobby and a lot of money on rolling stock, and you can either choose to have rubbish track and put a stay live and everything you own, or you can sort of spend your time and do the track properly. So on this one, I really spent my time and I hardwired every point, made sure that every point was an Electrofrog. I put droppers from every single piece of track, no matter how short it is. So there is no reliance on any fish plates on this layout whatsoever. And most crucially, especially after the sun we just had, I left a 2mm expansion gap on every joint. And boy, am I glad I did. I was stunned to see I've got a couple of bridges on this layout, and it's where the track lifts out to allow me to exit the shed if I don't want to crawl around. And those pieces of bridge are only they're about 30 centimeters. One's 30 centimeters, one's 35 centimeters length of track. And in the height of the summer, they were 4mm bigger. I had a 4mm overlap. So you think 30 centimeters and 35 centimeters can stretch 4mm in, what was probably in here 40 degrees, which I know a lot of people in lofts will have the same problem and such like. So expansion gaps. And it's just things like that have made this a joy. It runs so beautifully and sort of prototypically that I can signal it, which has made me happy.
That's very important. Make sure you get your signaling right. It's curious, isn't it, with the expansion gaps. I'm fortunate that my track lane's terrible, so I never have that problem because I'm always leaving massive gaps when I'm trying to lay a curve down anyway. So it's always the advantage there. But
I was always advised as well, just to, and I understand why people will use it, and I get it. But the best piece of advice I got early days when I was working in the shop from someone who's made many, many, many beautiful layouts was, if you can, avoid set track, use streamline points and flexi track. And I was scared of flexi track to begin with, but you soon get used to it. And the only set track I've been able to use now is where I really have to have a corner, and that corner has to be very structured. Then I've got a couple of set track corners hidden in tunnels and such like. But yeah, flexi and streamline seems to be part of the route to success.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with those curve points. I think I've got a box of them that I've given up on because once upon a time it was a case of trying to build a layout in a small space, and they seem like space saving points. It needs to be great. You can build the curves going into the fiddle yard, and as you say, I remember modifying one and putting like extra bits of guide rail in there just to try and stop the locos derailing. But they just do it all the time. It didn't matter. I don't know what it is, and it weren't the Pico ones. Although I had some Horby ones that's the same dimensions and shape, but maybe they were all right for like models back in like the 70s and the 80s. But maybe our models have become a bit too refined for those points to run through. I don't know. Maybe that's where the issue lies. It's sort of
because you end up slating rolling stock. I saved up and bought myself some of the I think they were a Hatton special at one point, but the Bock TTA tankers, not TTA, TEA tankers, the 100-ton British.
Yes,
made by Helgen. And on my old layout, every time they came to a corner, they just literally flew off. They went straight. They didn't go around corners, they went straight. And I tried to put new wheels on them, and I did their back-to-backs, and everything you could possibly do to make these things run. And I put extra weights in them, and then when that didn't help, I took weight out, and every permutation, and they just derailed every time. Put them on this layout, and they fly around. So I wonder sometimes, we blame stock, but I wonder actually if a lot of our problems come down the track.
Yeah, sometimes it can be just quite the poor track laying, can't it? Yeah, it's interesting what you said as well about making sure that the points. You've got electrofrog this time. I think we've all been there when we've gone to the model shop for a certain set and it's just compromised and just got something else, and then you regret doing it later on just for that slight impatience. But I sent the video earlier of I've been building linear layout in TT, and Sam was questioning what was wrong with my points because the '08 shunter kept stalling on them. And again, I hadn't put, even though they're infill frog points in TT, I hadn't wired up the frog, mostly because it was using a point motor that I don't feel is particularly reliable for switching the polarity. And I thought that'll be all right. It's just a little layout for him for running his trains around. But yeah, already he's got an '08 that he was getting frustrated with because it was stalling at all the points. But
that's the thing, isn't it? That's the bit that's so frustrating. At my last two purchases, I bought one of the Acura Scale J68s. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and brilliant because it came with a stay live in it. So it just runs out the box beautifully. And at the same time, I bought myself a Dapple sound fitted Terrier without a stay live, and that doesn't do 2 centimeters without stalling. And then you put a stay live in it, and you blow the sound chip, and you're like, oh, for goodness sake! So yeah, it's so frustrating when you just want a running session and things start to either fall off or jerk or stall or mess about, and you're like, oh. And I know it does it for all of us. The minute you've got someone out here and you want to show them it, something derails and such like. But I think the golden hint is if you can take your time and really be thorough at the track laying stage, you just won't regret it. That's, if that helps anyone, just take your time, and if the points aren't in stock, wait until they are. Don't make the mistake I did, which was just like, I must finish this, and powering through and then regretting it.
I mean, that's the irony of the hobby. Sometimes it's supposed to be relaxing. Yeah, it can be the most stressful, irritating thing to do. So you've got bad running. It's just like pulling your hair out trying to work out what's wrong. But yes, I'm enjoying watching your build on Instagram, and I'm sure many listeners, if they haven't found it already, can go and find and have a look and see how you get on with that project.
So just one thing that I wanted to get in near to my heart, and I don't know quite how to get it in, because it's another thing that's really important with the layout, is emotional cameos. Sounds a bit daft. Everyone that's important in my life is on here. From my old business to my partner, to my dog, to my kids. They're all hidden on here somewhere, to my late father-in-law, to my late parents. They're just all hidden. And if you know where they are, you can find them. And it's that sort of nice little capped off to the past and to things that are important to you that you can just pop into your layout. I don't know how we could. I know I've rabbited on already, but that's impossible for Sam to edit. I've just cut across you.
That's fine.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, no, I think
very
it's nice,
much.
isn't it? It's lots of people do that. I don't know. People, there's something. I think it comes down to that nostalgia again. I'll move on to the next question then. What is your next hobby purchase? And if you're saying you're on like 205, it can't be another Loco, can it?
It's not. No. My next hobby purchase. As I'm going through St Saviours, I'm lighting it at the same time. So when I built Effingham Junction, I built it and then I retro lit it, which was making my life harder than it needs to be. And I started to run copious wires and all this sort of stuff. And then I was at the Bristol Rail Show year before last and found a gent who was selling these magnetically operated LEDs. So they're a tiny little circular beast, basically the size of a button battery. And you wave a magnet over them and they come on, and you wave a magnet over them and they turn off again. And they're about a tenner for four, or I know if you head off to Temu or AliExpress or whatever, you can get them for a lot cheaper than that. But in the UK, posted to you with someone you can always go and talk to if they don't go well. They're about a tenner for four, and they're just absolutely brilliant. One or two in a big building, and it's completely lit, and it takes you seconds with a bit of black tack. The longer bit is sometimes painting some of the resin buildings to make sure the light doesn't shine through their roofs or whatever. But then all you need to do is just drift around your layout with a magnet, and sometimes a nice strong magnet is better because you can be a little bit further away from them with quite a pokey magnet, and you can light your layout in seconds as opposed to hours and wires and resistors and all the things that people get worried about. So yeah,
cool.
I've run out of those. More of those.
Yeah. No, I think I may have seen them before, but yeah, that's just quite interesting. Yeah, it does seem to be quite the popular thing at the moment, isn't it? Making your lights turn on with the use of a magnet, and then they put it in all these coaches these days.
Yeah, it's just probably an expansion of the same idea, isn't it? You can wave the sort of wand at the coach. Well, now you've got these little things you can fit wherever you want. I think they started life probably as coaching modules or whatever, but they then built them a little bit more chunky around a battery for a building.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think that's a nice little tip for people there. If they're not confident with their wiring skills, just sticking one of them in there. Cool. Thank you for that. Right then, that's your hobby purchase covered. Now I'm going to ask you, what is your favourite part of the hobby?
This is sorry, Sam. It's a multifaceted answer, but it all revolves around the same sort of center point, which is it just makes me happy. It does something. I don't know what it does. It just lights up something inside, and that comes and it is a bit like being able to go back to being a child. It's the nostalgia, and genuinely, in quite a sour old world, there are a couple of characters, but 99% of people you meet in the hobby are just delightful. And I find the sort of Instagram community, everyone is just so positive. If they don't like it, they don't say anything. They're not going, oh, well, you've got 47 rivets on that, not 48. They're just like, oh, they don't say anything. Whereas there's so much positivity and so much, hey, I really like the way that looks, and you're doing really well there. And everyone sort of helps everyone else on their journey, no matter how big or small. No one ridicules anyone. No one says, well, it's only a 6x4 single loop, mate. Come on, look at mine. It's none of that, which is lovely. So I think the best bit of the hobby really is it's such an awful answer to the question. The hobby, it's the people that are doing it. It's the way they treat each other. It's the social media style on Instagram. It's delightful. And for me, it's the nostalgia, and I try and doff my cap to nostalgia by my layout is just full of cameos. So anything that's been important to me in the past, I've been lifeboat crew for 32 years. So I've managed to put a lifeboat, tow in a boat in the harbour, and bizarrely, the 10 lifeboat crew were all me because I did the scanning for Modeloo, and before they did the commercial set, which has got other people's heads on. So it's just my head on one of each of their sets, because obviously you would want 10 of me. I've got the original set, so it's all 10 of me. So I've had to do the different hairstyles that I've had in my life when I had hair, and then when I had a beard, no beard, and stuff. So it's just, and there's, my late parents are on here, my late father-in-law's on here, my kids are on here. One of our kids is in the military, so he's in a bush somewhere with a gun, and one of my girls is a doctor, so she's sat here treating someone, and it's just a little doff of the cap to everyone, including the dog. I managed to get a 00 scale Labradoodle and even paint him with his harness on and such like. So he's actually 3 of him on this layout. It's like, where's Wally for the dog? But yeah, and I've got my old business on here, not that my business, because people might wonder where the name St Saviours comes from, and it's all a bit of a Mickey take, really. So my company that I just closed and retired from was called Saviour Medical. Now, Saviour Medical had a workshop in the garden. On my layout, it's got a 4-story building, which looks like Glory's HQ, and I've given myself a scimitar as the MD, none of which I had. Had a ropey old Beetle. And we certainly didn't have 2 corporate logoed vehicles in the garages out the back, but it's a bit of a Mickey take. But, St Saviour's is a doffing the cap to its saviour that paid for this. So it's like, we'll call the station after the company that paid for it. And Ashworthy is a blend of the road I live in, which has ash in it, and Worthy from the town I live in, which is Hamworthy. So everything sort of revolves around life, and it's just a a bit of a wry smile at times, a bit of a Mickey take, and a bit of a cameo, and that just makes me happy. Makes me quietly giggle to myself.
That's nice though, because I mean that's we all, many of us model for the nostalgia of what we remember as a child, probably happier times, rose tinted spectacles and all that, and those cameos I suppose are part of that nostalgia, aren't they? There's those happy memories of life. I'm the same. I've got a little staffy on my latest build, to just remember my old dog. I've always tried to sort of get a little model of a dog or a pet on there on a layout build, just because that's kind of, again, that's nice nostalgic feeling, isn't it? So yeah, that makes sense, and I think you're right. The Instagram community is a really nice community. It's never, of all of them, and I don't think the YouTube community is too bad. I think there's the occasional person that may put a comment, and sometimes we spoke about this before. The comments they may not have thought them through, and they may think they're being helpful, and not realizing how it comes across, kind of thing. But yeah, Instagram is definitely one of those places where no one stops by just to tell you that your layout's wrong, kind of thing. It's just it's a like and a thumbs up, and yeah, maybe a comment of this looks really great, kind of thing. And I think you're right. It is a nicer community that way. Right. So if you were to create a new layout, even though you just created a new layout, but it sounds like they don't last very long. If the last one only lasted 2 days, what is the one thing you'd need on it?
I've thought long and hard about this, and I think the answer that is the best answer I can give you is 2 levels. Something in my, wherever I am on the spectrum, likes things passing over things. I love bridges, and I love, if you see a train go over a bridge, another train coming in the opposite direction under a bridge, multi-level, I think, ticks my box. So yeah, I definitely like 2 levels.
Yeah, there is something about that, isn't there? I always remember that image it must be probably about 1994 Hornby magazine, where it's like a photo. I think it's like the goods wagons page, and they've got one of their bridges going over another bridge, which with trains, so there's like 3 levels of it, and yeah, there is something about that kind of thing, isn't there? It's sort of, maybe it's because like when you're looking at railways, a lot of the time we tend to be looking at them from the road. If you're passing through the town, you're going under the railway. That's sort of your best chance of glimpsing a train, kind of thing. And maybe that's sort of how it's echoed into the layout. I don't know, but yeah, multi-deck sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that it helps with the height, doesn't it? I mean, my baseboards are at 95 centimeters off the ground, so my upper deck is at sort of 110, and so if you're sat on a seat, the upper deck is at exact eye level, which allows you to sort of disappear into it somehow. No, I really like that. I like seeing things go at different heights.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's pretty cool. Right then, I'm going to move on and ask you, what is the one hobby item you'd encourage everyone to buy?
Sorry, Sam, I have got 2 answers here because there's 2 crucial things I found in life, but one is really for old people. So maybe that's how I get around your rules, Sam. But my eyes aren't what they used to be, and I bought a set of these magnifying overspecs things that they've got a light on them that you can get from Amazon for about 20 quid. And they've got a great big chunky lens on the front of them, and you can wear specs or just your normal eyes underneath them. And for doing fine detail work, they're a godsend, absolute godsend. I find the more light you've got on something, the better it is at my age, and the more magnification, the better. The kids rip the Mickey out of me, something chronic, because when they look at me, of course, the magnifiers do weird things to my eyes, and I look like a very special version of Francis Bourgeois with his 3D camera on his head with these things on, but they're absolute godsend. But the other thing that has arrived recently, which has blown my world away, I was previously using a really old handheld Dyson for all the mess I make out here. And I was trying to hoover scenery and blow dust off scenery and that sort of stuff. And the Dyson just wasn't, it too big, too chunky, too angry. And you were fishing most of the important things from your layout out the sort of the clear bin on the Dyson. So I bought myself from Temu. Other websites are available, but it cost me all of about £11. This little handheld hoover that I was expecting not to do a lot, but it's a hoover and a blower, depending which end you stick the probe in, so to speak, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's just wonderful. You can blow dust out and then spin the thing the other way and suck it all up. And recently, we're doing all this grassing stuff that you could get really fine detail removal, of stuff without sucking the whole layout up. So yeah, absolute godsend. This little beast is. It's currently recharging, but yeah, absolute godsend.
Yeah, that's a good shout, that, because I know the alternative is a pair of stockings over the hose of a new Hoover to get your static grass up. But yeah, I think a little handheld device, especially if you say it blows the dust off, because that's sometimes you don't want to run the vacuum cleaner at the risk of sort of losing bits of detail, do you? But I suppose if it's got the opposite function, then that's a handy little tool there.
As you say, it can do either. And I have to say, it's probably paid for itself with the amount of static grass that I've not thrown away, because it's allowed me to be incredibly liberal with a big applicator head over, pre-glued areas, and then just go behind with this, with the nice clean sort of, no need for the tights and all that sort of hoo-hoo, nice clean receptacle, and then you can literally tip it straight back in your static grass box and then carry on. Absolutely brilliant godsend.
Because static grass ain't cheap.
No.
So that's a grand shout. So yeah, that's a grand recommendation there. I think a little handheld vacuum cleaner and blower in this case. Do you get to go out to lots of exhibitions? Is there a particular favourite? If you have one, if you do go out there, and any layout that is your favourite, doesn't have to be an exhibition. Could be something you see in a magazine. Is it?
Yeah, I've not been to many exhibitions for fun. Been to lots helping the shop out on their stand. So the exhibition for me tends to have been purely local to my area. But from those, the one that stands out actually, which won't be talked a lot, and 90% of people listening to you won't have a clue about it, but it's a place called Weymouth, and the Weymouth exhibition always has a beautiful variety of layouts, but also the people who run it are just delightful, and it's incredibly well represented. The community seems to come out for it, so it's a bit of a curved ball, but I've actually got tickets to go up to whatever the Worley replacement is called these days in November, so I'm going to check that one out, and then next year I might get to the Great Electric Train Show or the DEMU, just to try some of the big ones. I've been to Ali Pali once, but that was when I was zipping up from a night shift on the RNLI in London to go and get scanned for Modeloo. So I had a quick sneak around, but not a real sneak around. But that was getting a little bit, it was just incredibly big, incredibly busy, and I didn't really have time to spend there. So exhibitions, not a lot of exposure, mainly local. But on the favourite layout, it was one that was doing the exhibition circuit local to us, but I think now it might have got more fame, and I think it was featured recently in a magazine. And it's a total curveball for me, really, but it's an N-gauge layout called Moore's View, which was opposite the stand I was working on for a whole show. And all it is, when I say all it is, I'm certainly not belittling it. It is a twin track which goes over a viaduct with a little fiddle yard behind it, set in this beautiful snowy valley. And the delight of it is, the operator someday runs. It's one of those layouts like I've tried to achieve here, that the scenery is fairly generic, and then you put stock on that matches, for an era or a region. And one day they were running steam on it, one day they were running diesel on it, and it was just tranquil. It was just simple N-gauge trains coming past your eyes, every few minutes, going through this station, curving through some beautiful snowy countryside. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that is a very stunning layout. I've seen it a couple of times now, and as you say, the operators switch between a sort of 1980s, 90s period to a 1960s steam period, and I've seen it with both running on there, and it is clever in that way, because they've not put too much detail on there, and I suppose the snow sort of helps because it covers up any clues to what era it is. which allows that flexibility. So yeah, you can look at it, and I think it was the cover of Railway Modeler 1 December, if I recall.
I think you're right. I think it was recently featured in a magazine. I think if I owned it, I'd probably personally, it wouldn't have enough playability for me. But just sat opposite it for a weekend, it had everything that Sam would have loved it, because there's no horrible sounds coming from it and no noisy crossings. It was just tranquil, and I could imagine it being rather than a layout, being more of a sort of centerpiece, like I think it's too big to be that, but when I say a glorified coffee table, again, please don't get me wrong, it's absolutely beautiful, but something that is more of an art piece in a house, and it's just gently moving than something else. It was just magical. Loved it.
I'm sure I've seen it as well.
Yeah, you'd know it, Sam. It's just like a viaduct, a station, and then the whole scene is just snow. It's just Engage.
And the more you look, and the more you see, don't you? Postman's falling over and slipping up, and there's a little van, and then I've noticed recently in some pictures they put a van that had gone through a fence, and
as I say, they did have some skid marks on there, but I think like you say, they've added the van to it to extend the scene. Yeah, it is a wonderful layout, and I suppose because it's set in winter and it's snow as well, it's one of those sort of periods that's very rarely modelled, because obviously everyone likes to do summer, so seeing a winter layout is quite rare, and I suppose it adds a little bit more delight to it. But from a sort of photograph point of view, like the viaduct and the back scene and the way they've done the hills, it looks so good through the lens of a camera. I really like it, especially for filming it. You can get some really lovely shots from it. Just because, like you said, because of that, go back to like you said earlier, a raised railway. So it's got that viaduct going over the road, and the view, panning the camera as you follow the train round. It really is something.
Yeah, I just, as I say, sat opposite for a whole weekend. It's the sort of thing where you wanted to go up at the end and go, how much do you want for that? I want to take that home with me. It's gorgeous. But they won Best in Show. I can't remember which show it was in, but they won Best at Show in one of the local shows we were at, and well deserved. Beautiful layout.
Yes, definitely. Last question then, I suppose. Actually, I'll point out, anyone that does want to see that layout, as I say, I have seen it. I definitely saw it this year at the Aylesbury show. I think it might have been called Rail X, if you want to find out my channel. Or previously it was at the Abingdon show last year. So it's on there if you want to see Moore's view. So yeah, right. Last question then. What's your favourite resource?
Generically, this is a real get out of an answer, but generically, the internet. I don't have any illusions of grandeur, and I'm very aware of my modelling journey, and people say nice things, but it can still be a million times better, and I'm forever going off to either it's sort of two things. It's YouTube and Flickr, really. If I want the detail that I'm craving for to work out, where to put the pipe, because all my locos are detailed with only coupling on one end, so I'll go and find a high end image of the front of a loco so I can put the pipes in the right place, because I don't want some rivet counter going, that pipe's not in the right place. So I just like to get that right. So Flickr's great for getting that fine detail, and also those sort of cameos. You can just type in, just show me a 1980s mainline, and check your colours are as you would hope they would be, and ballast in the right place and all this sort of stuff. But then for inspiration, I just go off and look at layouts that I think are just a million times better than mine, and the ones that I sort of aspire to, and that's the like of Dean Park. I just think Dean Park is like gorgeous, and recently on Instagram I found a layout called Sevenoaks that I think is just stunning. I sent him a message the other day just saying I had to look 3 times. I thought that was a real photograph. Doing some scenery stuff with some lights and car parks, and just and obviously NSE Latchmere, absolutely stunning. Darwin Landing, Everard Junction, probably all the names that crop up all the time. Plus, of course, Emperor's Path. I go there for inspiration all the time.
I've never heard of that one.
But I just just love going and seeing what other people do and how they do it, and drawing inspiration from layouts that I think are a million times stuff that I want to try and achieve. Will probably never get there, but trying. So yeah, it was a real cop out of an answer, but I just also wanted to get the shout out to those stunning layouts that I just think are brilliant inspiration and help people along on their journey.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I'll allow it. I don't. It's too late for Sam to turn it down. You've said your answer now. The internet. I like it. There we are, Paul. We've come to our round of questioning, and it's been an absolute delight to talk to you. Really, a great pleasure to get an insight into your modelling, how you've come back into the hobby after such a long time away from it, how you've gotten so involved in it, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you for coming on the show.
No, thank you both. It's been an absolute delight, and if I can help anyone and they want to bounce a message and how did you do that, I've certainly got the time to answer it. If anyone says something nice on Instagram, I always try and either like it or say thank you. So feel free if they want to reach out. If I can help in any way, I'm more than happy to help with my limited bit of where I've got to. But it's been a pleasure, and I'm really grateful.
No problem. And if they want to find you on the internet, how can they find you?
I only do the old Instagram, and I did have a name change because I was Effingham Junction, so it did get changed to St Saviours Railway, so ST and then dot and then Saviour SAVIOURS St Saviours Railway. Which the first time I did that, someone said, "Well, how many St Saviours were there?" And it's like, come on, give me a break. I just called the station St Saviours because St Saviour didn't look quite as good as St Saviours. I just stuck an S on it. Then I did find a place, I think it's in Falmouth or somewhere in Cornwall, that's actually called St Saviour's Hill. So I felt full retribution then. But
there you go, covered. There's always a prototype out there. That's what they say. Lovely stuff. Paul, thank you very much for coming on. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll get open the exhibition diary.
You there? Oh, me? Do you like model railways? Yes, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. Do you like comedy? No, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. If you like model railways and comedy, head over to BugglesKellyStation.com. From Dad's Army to Will Hay, Laurel and Hardy to the island of Sodor. Add a comedy cameo to your model railway today. All right, thanks. Buggles Kelly Station. You won't be wasting your time.
Well, I mean, it wasn't quite Laurie, but that was Paul from, I want to say Effingham Junction, bless his old layout now, St Saviours. That was splendid. I really enjoyed talking to Paul. So, it was nice to go back into the questions, wasn't it? It's been so long.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, we have had a guest this season, but no, we didn't, because we had Joseph, but we talked about his new show, so it was.
It's been a while. So we are. Right, should we get the exhibition diary open?
Yes, let's.
Okay, right. Having a look then, starting on this coming weekend, Friday the 3rd, the West Midlands Narrow Gauge Group is having their October group meeting. It's the Four Oaks Methodist Church Hall in 105 Linchfield Road in Sutton Coldfield, West Midlands. Now moving on to the weekend, for Saturday the 4th, Abingdon and District Model Railway Club is having Didcot 25. This is at the Didcot Civic Hall in Britwell Road in Didcot, Oxfordshire. And I think I might venture off to that one. Also on the 4th is the Hillington Railway Modellers at the Hillington Test Track Open Day at the UC Baptist Church in 74 Column Avenue in UC Hillington, Greater London. Cradley Heath Model Railway Club Annual Model Rail Exhibition 2025 at the St Michael's Church of England High School at Coral Road in Rowley Regis, West Midlands. Sudbury Model Railway Club is having an exhibition at the Stephenson Centre in Stephenson Approach, Great Conrad in Sudbury, Suffolk. Chris Crafts and Model Railways yearly show at the try this one. There's not a vowel between the L and the M. I don't know how to say it. Yelmpton. It's in Devon. Oh, hang on. Yelmpton. There we are. Do it in a Devon accent. Community Centre in Stray Park Road in Yelmpton, Devon. Yeah. Anyone from Devon? I think I got it at the end there,
It was the fact that even you carried it on. So when you said community centre, you were like, community centre.
Got to do the whole thing in the accent. Maybe that's what I should do. For every venue, I'll do it in the accent. So fortunately, the next one's at Corby and District Model Railway Society. So I don't have to do much there. Change the accent. Club's 2-day exhibition. St Peter and Andrew Church Hall in the Beanfield Avenue in Corby, Northamptonshire. I'm not going to do accents because 4th and 5th is Scottish Modelers Central Scotland Model Rail Show at Victoria Hall, Stirling Road in Dunblane in Stirlingshire. Fareham and District Model Railway Club is if you're playing our game of Where's Tom, then that's where you'll find him this week as the Fareham Rail X 2025 at the Fareham Leisure Centre, Park Lane, Fareham, Hampshire. And if you go up to Tom and say, I heard your name on Model Rail Replacement Podcast, he will glare at you. Okay. Also, Folkestone, Hythe and District Model Railway Club, the Folkestone Model Railway Exhibition at the Lees Cliff Hall in the Lees, Folkestone, Kent. Micklover Model Railway Group's October show in the Micklover Community Centre in Utuxer Road, Micklover, Derby, Derbyshire. Chester Model Railway Club's all weekend exhibition at the Stanley Community Centre in Sandy Lane in Saltney, Flintshire. So I said Stanley Community Centre, correction there, Saltney Community Centre. That's my dyslexia kicking in and rearranging letters. Shildon Model Railway Club's having the 38th annual autumn exhibition at the Locomotion NRM Museum off Dale Road in Shildon, Durham. Just on Sunday the 5th, then the Kings Lynn O-Gauge Group at East Anglia O-Gauge Celebration at the British Sugar Corporation's Social Club in Hollow Road, Bury St Edmunds, Suffolk. There's the Ilford and West Essex Model Railway Club live steam open day, adjacent on the north side of the Chadwell Heath Station at Station Road in Chadwell Heath, Greater London. Gainsborough Model Railway Society October open day at the Gainsborough Model Railway, Florence Terrace in Gainsborough, Lincolnshire. Sodbury Vale Model Railway Club 2025 open day at Lind Green Community Centre in Wellerweb Road, Lind Green, Bristol. And that is all for this coming weekend. Do social media shout outs and then just get out of here.
Yeah, that's probably about time we turn the lights off.
We need more money through Patreon because it's already saying on this call we need to upgrade. We can't afford the lecky. Can't afford to upgrade. We just we've only got 3 minutes, so maybe quick. Sam, how can they find you?
If you want to find me, you can get hold of me on Instagram at Empress_Path, Facebook, Emperor's Path, on YouTube at Emperor's Path. James, how can they get hold of you?
It's Western Signalman, YouTube, Instagram. But don't forget, the Model Rail Replacement Podcast is on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and through email, modelrailrp@outlook.com. That's all for this week. Next week, I have no idea what we're doing because I haven't looked at the list. So you'll just have to tune in and find out. All I can say is that hopefully we've been entertaining, informative, and replaced your model railway, if only just for a little bit. I've been James, and with me has been Sam. Thanks for listening.
This service terminates here. Please ensure you take all of your personal belongings with you.
Hello, listeners. We've got some very exciting news. Do you want to be part of the podcast? Do you want to join the team? Well, an exciting opportunity has come up to allow you to be part of the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. And here's Sam with the details.
This episode is brought to you by Patreon. A huge thank you to our Patreons for their support. If you'd like to help support the show, you can head over to Patreon and search Model Rail Replacement Podcast, where you can show your support and be part of the team.
Hurry, there's unlimited places.